Peter, let me dive right in. You have written now for many years about the future of warfare, about what future wars would look like. Sitting in 2024, 2025, the last couple of years, it seems like future wars are no longer future anymore, that we've arrived. Is your assessment that as well? Like, are we now in the kind of warfare scenario that you had maybe started writing about several years ago, over a decade or two ago as well?
Oh wow. Yeah, I think there's that famous lesson that the future is already here. It's just unevenly distributed. And many of the aspects of conflict that we see right now in places like Ukraine or Gaza, the strikes on Iran, the elements of it that people have found technologically most remarkable, the mass use of drones, introduction of AI, to, if we look more broadly, information warfare, cyber warfare, they're all elements that were there to see. They had been part of other conflicts. We just put our blinders up. Many people, many organizations, it didn't fit into their worldview. It meant that there were changes that they needed to make that would have been uncomfortable. It meant that there were assumptions that they would have to question. And so they looked away at that. So, to give a small example where we were in the discussion around drones. I did a book called Wired for War. Yes. That looked at the growing use of robotics in real world wars. It was basically one of the first books to say, hey, this is not sci-fi anymore. We're seeing them used in Iraq, Afghanistan, and they're significant. They're game changing. And to walk you through kind of the pace of where we were when that book came out, I remember going to, and that was back in '08. I think it's horrible when you can't remember your own books, but yeah, it's like your children's names. No, in all seriousness. So I remember giving a briefing to a US senator and having to explain that, no, there was no tiny little human pilot inside the Predator drone. It really was uncrewed. I gave a lecture at the US Air War College about this technology. And after the lecture, the commandant got up on stage and told the students, don't listen to what he just said. Don't worry, this is not going to be the future. So we had this kind of absolute denial. Then over the last 10 years, even though we were seeing them being used in more and more ways in wars between Azerbaijan and Armenia, we certainly saw ISIS using them in Iraq. We saw use in the Syrian civil war. We saw the Taliban even using small drones very effectively. There were academics arguing in major policy journals as late as 2022, still, they did not matter. They were not a game changer. And, look, it was the very same thing in much of the defense economy. Part of why the United States on an industrial side is behind in this technology is, in terms of our production scale, is people weren't willing to make that leap to building and deploying them. That whole academic debate, that whole military debate, Ukraine ended it, Gaza ended it. We're seeing, use not just in the tens, not just in the hundreds, but literally the thousands every day operating in, Ukraine. The production scale is amazing in terms of, even Russia went through that phasing where 2 years ago it wasn't producing very many. To the latest data figure I saw was they're producing well over 20,000 a month, which is why they're able to launch these just mass scale strikes on Ukraine. So I think, again, the data was there. We could see it. It just was uncomfortable for people. And maybe a good question to kind of spin back to you is, what's like that today? What's that area that we can see the data, but it's uncomfortable. It doesn't fit our worldview. It means maybe we have to change. That points us to whatever's going to happen next.